Is there a doctor in the house?
Doctor, you have a visitor in the main lobby.
Hello and welcome to the Talk to the Doc podcast, where I like to dig into the real challenges that make or break businesses and their growth. So hopefully it's helpful to leaders like you. In this episode, we're talking people in relationships. You know, the longer I'm an entrepreneur, I guess the more I recognize the importance of relationships in everything we do. So I plan to bully our guest Mark into telling me everything he knows, because I'm your host, Steve the Dr. Meek, and the doctor is in. Welcome, Mark.
Thanks. Glad to be here, Doctor.
Well, always excited to have you on the podcast. We talk all the time, and you know my business partner well. But could you tell us a little bit about you so our guests can get to know a little bit more about you?
Yeah, my name's Mark McIntosh, and I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I have 3 kids. They're all college age now, and a wife. I'm a CPA turned marketer. I know that sounds a little bit ironic or different.
That's a little contrived. It's a little contrived.
That's right. So I always explain it. I started out the accounting and finance route, and it just took me, 20 years to figure out that my real passion was within the marketing space. So I founded a company called RevGrow, and we are a lead generation agency, and we're based here in the DFW area, but serve clients all over the nation. And I have a team, about 6 or 7 people, and they're also spread out all over the nation. So good to be here.
Gotcha. National company because everybody's everywhere, right?
Yep.
Well, let's go ahead and dive right into it. And I reached out to you ahead of time and kind of asked you for vitals. I'm a metrics guy, and I'm guessing if you're doing revenue growth, then you're a big metrics guy as well. But I started off by asking you about the pulse of the market. What's the current state of the market? What do you see out there as trends? And you came back to me and you said that one of your favorite statistics was that 68% of small businesses say they struggle with lead generation. Now, what is that about?
Yeah, it's, so many of the clients and the people that we talk to on a daily basis, they've gotten their business through word of mouth and referrals, but for most of them, it's not enough to reach their growth goals. And I've been in several groups such as Vistage and EO and groups like that. And they always ask, okay, what's the biggest challenge for the CEOs in the room? And most often it boils down to lead generation or people. Like I said, a lot of people, there's a select few companies out there that I think have all the business they would ever need or want. But the vast majority, that 68% that I mentioned, lead generation is an issue for them. And the predictability of those leads is also a challenge for them. So those are 2 of the areas that we help solve for them.
Now, did you say that all of your efforts are around LinkedIn, or is LinkedIn part of other things? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, our expertise and specialty are LinkedIn, leveraging outbound within LinkedIn, content marketing, warm introductions. We do a lot of work as it relates to warm introductions, but we also do a little bit of cold email and a little bit of phone call in conjunction with what we're doing on LinkedIn. But since the beginning, our specialty really has been LinkedIn and leveraging LinkedIn to elevate our clients present and get them in front of more of their ideal target customers or their ideal referral partners.
Now, as an organization that's trying to grow or engage more, is LinkedIn replacing everything, or does LinkedIn have to supplement some other stuff? What other
Great
things
question. Yeah.
should an organization be doing aside from LinkedIn?
Yeah, great question. One thing I always do when I talk with people is ask them what's working for you today. And by all means, what's working for you today, keep doing that. So whether it's paid advertising or networking or speaking or a podcast or other sorts of lead generation activities. So what we're doing is intended to supplement and optimize what our clients are doing already. And
Gotcha.
so some of them are dabbling with LinkedIn and doing it very sporadically or haphazardly. For those, we want to systematize it, make it much more proactive and consistent, and optimize it in a way that we know works, leveraging our playbook. So definitely supplementing what's already working. And a lot of times, what I'll do is simply ask, all right, let's look at your 5 best clients. How did they come about? And just by doing a little exercise like that,
Sure.
there might be some clarity that says, you know what? We've been investing thousands of dollars in these certain activities. And as I look at our 5 to 10 best clients, not a single one came from those. Or maybe it just confirms a few of the channels or one or two that they're doing really well. And so our big test is, or our question is, are your prospects and your referral partners on LinkedIn? And the answer for all of our clients is yes. Then we're big believers that being on LinkedIn and being there consistently and showing up in a positive value add manner is absolutely essential.
That definitely makes sense. Now, I keep hearing you with Certitude talk about LinkedIn. As a marketer, also hear some people talk about YouTube marketing, about how video is the future, and Instagram and TikTok. Obviously, Facebook is still something out there. Why, in your mind, should SMBs be focused on LinkedIn?
Since it first came out, in 2011 or so, it's really been the number one platform for B2B. And for our clients, it's probably the easiest and the most natural place for them to start or to invest versus some of those other channels you mentioned, which certainly had their place. A lot of our clients, they're smaller and they just don't have the significant marketing budgets and things like that. So LinkedIn is where we've chosen to specialize. And then email and phone calls would be the next 2 channels that we do, but not nearly as much as we do on LinkedIn.
Gotcha. So at least in your mind, you perceive that if you're a small organization and you're, kind of trying to ramp up your marketing, your best investment is to prioritize LinkedIn and then supplement it down the road with some of the other things that you guys do.
Yep, 100%. So
Gotcha.
our clients are in the B2B professional services, consulting, high ticket relationship type space. So for them, they're selling, the value of a new customer for them or a client might be $30,000 a year, up to like 6 figures, 7 figures in some instances. And LinkedIn is a really good channel if they're targeting other businesses and leaders within those businesses, because we know that almost everyone in their target market is at least present on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn's very affordable way to do it and do it organically, as opposed to investing a lot in paid advertising. It means that you really just don't know how effective they will be. Now, to your point, Steve, as they grow and they become more sophisticated, then we're all about rolling out some of those other channels as well.
Now, is there any one thing in your head consistently over time that you feel LinkedIn offers, or makes it that big differentiator, or something that SMBs need to know about LinkedIn, to kind of make sure they're getting their worth out of it?
Yeah, the number one thing is consistency. Just being consistent out there with your posting and your outreach and your messaging. And then the other one is a big no cardinal sin, which is the pitch slap or the connect and pitch. So
Oh,
we're
yeah.
we that doesn't work. So that's another thing that we see constantly. And your LinkedIn is becoming very crowded. It used to be a lot easier, but these days it's just so much more important that your positioning and your targeting and your content and your messaging and all of that is dialed in towards your ideal client profile. So yeah, I'd say those are the big factors: the consistency, the being dialed into your target market, and providing value, sharing tips, staying top of mind. LinkedIn allows for that, which is critically important for most of the businesses we serve. They tend to have a longer sales cycle. So if they're not ready to engage right away, we found that top of mind LinkedIn is very effective at staying top of mind throughout the buyer journey or the sales cycle. And then obviously the mutual connections and
Sure.
being able to say, "Oh, Steve, I see you're connected with Bill over at XYZ. How well do you know Bill? And would you be willing to make an introduction for me?" So those are really the key elements that we see help with our client outreach.
Well, I hadn't heard the phrase pitch slap before, so that's definitely going into the repository of phrases that I say regularly now, just so you know.
All right,
Uh,
good.
Now, what do you think about I'm getting a whole bunch of these days. I feel like I'm getting a whole bunch of the AI generated pitch slaps, if you will,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's obvious they're just parsing my information and coming back. Do you have any opinion on those?
Yeah, it really dilutes your efforts. So we're big fans in quality over quantity, and it will slow you down if you ultra personalize every single message if you're wanting to do it at scale. But the personalization wins almost every time.
Sure.
And the general templatized or AI messages, you know, can work, but we just see them being less effective. And the level of personalization and the things out there, such as AI and other tools, can really help with that personalization and can almost help you infer by looking at their content and their profile kind of how they think and what their personality might be and what's really top of mind and hot for them. So I do like a lot of what AI affords us to do. What I don't like, which we just because it doesn't work that well, is just the one size fits all standard pitch or very general, very vague. Because rest assured, everyone out there is saying a lot of the same stuff. Hey, we help companies save money by doing this. We help them improve revenue by doing this. We
Yeah.
help them streamline efficiency by doing this. Well, how do you stand out when they're getting 25 to 30 of these messages every single day within LinkedIn, email, Facebook, and everywhere? So that personalization and just really putting in the time and the effort to figure out how can I be one of the 25, 30, 50 where the recipient says, you know what, I'd like to learn more. And learning more might be digging into your profile, checking on your website, replying, looking at your content, agreeing to a call. But that's the whole goal. And it's a huge blessing when you reach out to somebody and it just happens to be the right time. And they're
Sure.
like, you know what? This is a priority for us now. Your message resonated with me. I looked at your profile. You're talking in my language. And on top of that, to your point, if the message is personalized, your chances of getting a response and getting some interest goes up exponentially.
Yeah, the next thing that I asked you was about the heart rate, kind of the performance aspect of things, and you said something like 80% of B2B leads come from, or at least social media leads come from LinkedIn.
Yep.
Wow, that's enormous. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yep. Yep. In the B2B space, in the space that we're, it's unbelievable to this day how much more leads are coming from LinkedIn versus Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and some of the others. And just about every company that I come across does have some sort of a LinkedIn presence, especially some of the smaller companies. Like I said, it's not as dialed in as it needs to be. But yeah, LinkedIn continues to be a great source of leads for our clients, and definitely recommend businesses putting in the effort and placing an emphasis on their LinkedIn strategy, because that tends to be, the very first or second place that their audience goes to is their website and their LinkedIn page.
Now, as we talk about metrics and things, is there or are there specific metrics that if you're an SMB and you're self-evaluating your LinkedIn, or is there some sort of metric you should be looking at there? Leads per month, or I don't know. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we measure everything for our clients. And again, it's, if somebody's doing it themselves, I recommend keeping it simple. And we've been doing this for 10 plus years, so we can gather the metrics and understand it and realize it, or monitor and do it much more efficiently. But if you're just getting started, maybe it's, on the content side, looking at engagements or impressions. On the outreach side, maybe you look at connection requests sent and connection requests accepted and measure that on a weekly basis. Maybe if your goal is to drum up conversations and meetings, that's obviously a key metric of those lead generation, top of the funnel type metrics. LinkedIn has some things like profile views. They have a metric that they monitor called the social selling index, SSI score, which is a good one to monitor.
I've seen that.
Yeah, those are the main ones. Most of our clients, they're looking for leads or positive replies, but even more so, appointments. And, some of our clients, we'll help them get 5 appointments a week. Some of our clients, it's more than that. Some of it's less than that, given their space they play in, who they're targeting. But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in quality over quantity. As long as you're targeting the right people, and we'll talk about targeting later. But again, it's, you don't want to dilute your efforts by trying to reach everyone and speak to everyone. If you can dial in your target or your niche a bit, it makes everything easier and more efficient, such as content development, who you're targeting, who you're reaching out to. A lot of companies come to us and they say, well, we can help, anybody really. And it's like, let's do that look back and look at your 10 best clients and say, all right, let's find what makes these people, what's common about them. Are there industries? Are there sizes? Are there other attributes? Are there things like that would draw similarities that would allow us to more effectively target.
So if I'm understanding what you're saying, that in the life cycle, starting to develop your LinkedIn strategy, you want to take a step back, see if you can be more niche focused or more narrow in your request by looking
Yep.
at your existing clients that you've been successful with.
Yep. Or referral partners. So a lot of our clients, they say, well, the chances of me getting a client by going direct isn't as high as the ROI of their marketing strategy might be going direct to referral partners or strategic partners. But again, even in that approach, I think just really dialing in and going more narrow, from what we're seeing, it works better almost all of the time.
Gotcha. Now, after you've done that, are there just like for that full life cycle, there are two other things you can share with us that help people understand kind of those quick stages?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in obviously what happens before the meeting is
Hmm.
important because you're trying to capture their attention and their interest. But what happens after the meeting, and then, from because maybe 30% of the people you meet with as a B2B sales professional, maybe even more than that, they they're a good fit perhaps, but they're just not ready for whatever reason. And so I'm a big believer in what happens after the appointment until later on in the journey when they're ready to hire you makes all the difference. And
Sure.
it's a great opportunity for you to stand out from the crowd and continue to add value and stay top of mind. And it goes beyond just calling and checking in or touching base. It's about how can I add value and build the relationship so that when the time is right, we get the call or we get the referral from a referral partner. So I think a lot of people overlook that piece of the sales cycle and how LinkedIn can help you throughout the sales cycle in order to grow your business. It's great for bringing attention, getting the appointment, sharing content, but it's also a good platform to prioritize and stay top of mind with those A and B prospects and those A and B referral partners.
Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Now, if I were you, I would just take a picture of yourself pushing your adult kids out the front door and saying, "Hey, if you work with us, we can help you successfully launch your children out of the house too."
I love it. I love it. I think, yeah, creativity. You got to have a little creativity and a little story behind just the mechanics. And I love that. That's a great
Yeah,
idea.
I have adult children as well, and that's every so often you just bump into somebody who talks about their boomerang child that
Yeah.
just kind of happened to move back and is doing
Yeah.
whatever they're doing, kind of thing. So it's top of mind, just kind of in my age group these days.
Yeah, I always say, all right, we're almost empty nesters. And they say, well, don't worry, they'll be back.
Yeah. Yeah, they always come back when you don't want them, and then they're never around when you want to spend time with them. So it's always the opposite of what you want, I guess.
Right. So what do you do?
Right.
That's funny.
All right. So the third metric I had for you was just what I called a weight, just trying to get a sense of the strategy of things. And now you'd said something to the fact of 62% of companies that outsource lead generation exceed their revenue targets. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. Again, for our target audience, the CEO and the founder, the number two, they're usually the primary salespeople as well. And a lot of companies out there, and our clients specifically, they don't necessarily have an in house marketing team or a sales team. And what we found is if you know that you won't do this consistently, either delegate it or outsource it. And I think outsourcing it, similar to your business, Steve, makes sense because you're outsourcing it to the experts. And if you don't outsource it And if you try to do it yourself, it's real easy if you're not 100% focused on growth to have the prospecting and the LinkedIn activity, the top of the funnel stuff to fall by the wayside. So outsourcing it is a great way to make sure that it gets done right, and it gets done consistently.
So for a small business, one of the things when I talk to them, sometimes I do talk to them about marketing and stuff, they always espouse that they have a little bit of a difficult time, I guess, explaining how their business is different in a way that resonates with prospects. What are your strategies around that?
Yeah, you got to have something unique. Either it's who you serve, how you serve them. Is it a proprietary methodology? Do you have a compelling offer? The way you package your service, is there a guarantee?
You say a compelling author?
Offer, like a
offer, okay,
like a
gotcha.
compelling offer. There has to be something that helps you stand out from everyone else.
Okay, I was going to say Mark Twain's a compelling author.
Mark Twain, there you go. But yeah, it's all about how do I stand out from the crowd? And, a good way to figure that out is to survey your existing clients and familiarize with your competitors and see what they're doing. And, I worked in a space before where everyone said the same thing. Industry expertise, you have direct access to the leadership. We care about our clients, core values, trust, respect, and all that stuff is great, but it's so crowded out there. How do you stand out from the 25 other people in your city that are offering a similar solution? And so that's getting harder and harder. And some of that comes through social proof, case studies, testimonials. But we've also worked with clients where just by adjusting their offer or their process or their proven mechanism, really highlighting that. Every company is different. At the end of the day, people got to want what you offer, and they got to believe that you're better than everyone else. So having something that helps you stand out from the crowd that's a little bit different from everyone else makes all the difference. And you got to be able to articulate it and communicate it to where it compels them to want to learn more. And, at the end of the day, there's always that, let's just say 50, 60, 70% that they'll never be a client. They'll never have a need. I'm not talking about those people, but that remaining 30% or so that may have a need or does have a need, how do we stand out and get their attention and do it in a way that doesn't necessarily just sound like everyone else? And that's a challenge for a lot of companies.
Yeah, I remember Pumpkin Plan had a really good exercise in there where he recommended going to your clients, and I think he had like 6 or 7 questions to go back to your clients to interview them and ask them to kind of help you craft what your perfect pumpkin was, what your who your ideal client should be, kind of a thing, but also for your marketing message.
Yeah, I love that.
Now you talked. One of the things you hit on was social proof. Can you explain that a little bit more to everybody? To maybe some examples of what that would be like for them.
Yeah, the simplest way I think of social proof is I can tell you how amazing I am or our agency is, but it carries so much more weight and so much more influential if it comes from someone else. It could come from a success story or a case study that really highlights a client that has a similar starting point or a similar challenge as they have. So that's a good way. Testimonials are a good way. Other information, whether it's awards or accolades but testimonials and case studies, those are the two or three that we've seen be the easiest types of social proof, for a smaller business, to attain.
So how does an SMB, are they just writing those and linking to them on LinkedIn, or how are you suggesting that they weave that into their LinkedIn strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. A lot of ways to do it. So highlighting it on your LinkedIn profile, that's a way. Putting it on your website, that's a way. Within LinkedIn, you can attach documents and share case studies or testimonials. You can post testimonials. You can call out your clients and recognize them on LinkedIn. You can ask others for recommendations on LinkedIn. You can be on podcasts like this is and tag people and recognize them. And then, but success stories, testimonials might be video, it might be written, it could be a 3-page PDF of a case study. A lot of different ways to do it, but those are just some that come to mind as I think off the top of my head.
Gotcha. So just being really intentional with it, thinking about where, where you can place it, where it'll fit, and then try to get it on everything digital.
Yep. And then obviously utilize it throughout the sales cycle. So if we help a client get a win and that client is similar to someone that's in my pipeline, I'll share that with them and just say, hey, I wanted to pass this along. They were in the exact same situation as you, stuff like that. And then given references, that's another great way, obviously. Just that's, hearing it from someone else and how we or you help them transform, I think goes a long way. We've seen that obviously on all the infomercials. All of them have that testimonial.
Yeah.
Life stunk before we engaged you or bought this product. Now everything's wonderful, right? So just the story and the pain and the transformation really carries a lot of weight. And it's hard if you're a startup. I mean,
right.
If you're a startup and you don't have any of that, then maybe you can leverage something from when you were an executive or you worked with somebody. But
you almost have to give something away for free and build that success story, so then you can go and talk about that success story.
100%, Steve. And absolutely.
All right. Well, if you're that organization, as you said before, you've gone back and looked at your clients that you've been successful with before. What are you doing with that information? Are you just kind of building out a profile, or what kind of thing are you doing?
Yeah, great question. There's a couple ways to use it. One that we use it for, it's to help bring clarity as to who your most ideal customer and your ideal referral partner. What does that avatar look like? And maybe there's multiple avatars, but
Avatar?
or customer profiles.
Okay.
So some marketing, they'll say your customer avatar. So what pain and challenges do they have? What income are they in? What industries do they tend to be? Why did they hire you? How did they come to you? Was it through networking? So there's a lot of detailed information that you look to the history as an indicator of where we might go in the future. And so we find that being a useful exercise because, if you ask somebody, well, who's your ideal customer? Maybe they think it's somebody certain type, but when you actually look back, for whatever reason, it's not always the same as what they think. And so we use that as evidence or proof of what's worked and who you've been most successful. And it's really helpful for those people that say, well, we can help everyone. Well, can you really? Let's look at your 10 best clients. And so it helps with the narrowing and the focus as we go and we search for other clients just like this. The more narrow we can be and the more clear we can be, often the better the results.
So the power of going back and looking at your clients is instead of sending a broad-based message, you're able to kind of really narrow in and hone in on those people that you know your offering resonates with.
That's exactly right, Steve. Yep.
You know, that actually does remind me of Mark Twain. He said, what did he say? He said something like, he would write a shorter letter if he had more time.
I love it. Absolutely. That's
So if you have,
spot on. Spot on.
if you have more time to think about what you're doing, you don't have to put all this other extraneous details and stuff in there. I love my Twainisms.
Yeah, I love that. Thanks for sharing that. And it's so true. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of ways to narrow it in. I mean, you know, maybe you can serve people outside of Texas, but, you know, for the sake of efficiency and not diluting your message, maybe you want to hone in on Texas, or maybe you want to hone in on certain industries or certain buyer personas or certain titles, or so it just helps with the efficiency and the effectiveness of the marketing outreach.
Now, earlier you also mentioned referrals. What are you looking for are you talking about client referrals? Are you talking about partners that do referrals? What are you looking for there?
Well, a little bit of both. And, you know, it's as I meet with our clients, almost always the number one way they get their business is through referrals. And those referrals can be from their existing customers. So we always try to think about what can we do or how can we get more referrals. You know, even a 10% improvement in that process can make a big difference. Or
Sure.
if you say, all right, well, our referrals tend to come from strategic partners or CPA firms or attorneys or fractional CIOs or whoever. Every company's slightly different. It's like if all your business comes from those people, why not look for a way to increase referrals from your existing network and also go out and find other referral partners that might be able to send you 2 or 3 new clients a year as opposed to just a one-off client. So a lot of our clients, we find it very efficient and a good use of our efforts to include that referral partner outreach and really look at increasing their referrals from their existing customers, their existing referral partners, but also new ones. How do we generate more? And
now, isn't it hard to find someone who was a former CPA, an attorney, became a nuclear scientist, and then a dentist before doing LinkedIn marketing? It seems like that would be kind of a narrow field for
they're
people looking for you.
Yeah, left-handed is really what left-handed.
Left-handed.
But you'd be amazed how good we can narrow in and focus on people just by using LinkedIn. The Sales Navigator upgraded premium version allows a multitude of search fields and keywords and other things to help us identify people that are most likely to be like their ideal referral partner or their ideal customer. So sometimes we have to go outside of LinkedIn to get that data, but a lot of times we can come up with a pretty good search just by leveraging the Sales Navigator search filters.
Now, are you searching something specific to the client and the existing client and their existing contacts? Or are you searching their clients and finding something out about their contacts?
Yeah, good question. So we use the advanced searches to dial in or to narrow in on the existing network, your first degree connections, but also your second degree connections. So it's a little bit of both. You know, as far as getting referrals from existing clients, that's more of a coaching exercise with our clients and just really adding some intentionality. We wouldn't necessarily reach out to our clients on behalf of our clients to
Okay.
get a referral. But to identify and to stay top of mind and to re-engage with existing and new referral partners, LinkedIn, that's really why it was created, as that networking platform to reach others that you want to reach. And there's a lot of ways we can do that. Groups is a way, keywords, other searchable demographics and characteristics. Maybe you can even see how long they've been in a role. When they change a job, that might be a good time to reach out to somebody. LinkedIn has been a great way to identify people and to engage with them and to stay top of mind.
Now, here you're talking about referral partners and stuff, but you just mentioned groups. Are there any strategies in identifying groups or targeting groups for engagement?
Yep. Great question. Again, it's picking the right groups. So it's trying to reverse engineer and figure out, where's your audience hanging out? What groups do they belong to? And a lot of times you can see that when you view their profile or you watch their activity. You can also search for groups, and if the group is healthy and active and caters to your audience and they're non-competitive, that can be a great way to get in and share some insights, reply to some comments or to some posts, but also reach out to others directly within that group that might be able to, there might be some synergies there, whether it's a referral partner. So you can always mention that group as, hey, Bill, we're both in this group. I saw your reply to this post. I'd love to connect with you. Something like that. But it just gives you another piece, that commonality or that relatability. And, if you can find something that gives them a reason, or where they see the logic, okay, yeah, this makes sense. Let's connect, or let's have a conversation. So, anytime you can reference a group or a common interest, we've seen that be very effective.
Any special things you'd recommend in cultivating a referral partner?
Give first, give often.
How do you give? What are you talking about?
Yeah, so give them a referral, and the power of reciprocity kicks in, or introduce them to someone. So it's a give first, it's being on the lookout. How can I help that person? And that could be a multitude of ways. It doesn't have to be business, it could be personal. Number one, give first. Number two, I focus on quality over quantity. So it's kind of that, it dilutes your effort if you try to be top of mind and build relationships with everyone. So we really like to prioritize that inner circle, or those A referral partners, those people that are most likely to be able to refer you business. But introductions, help them out, promote them on social, engage with them, help them solve a problem, play matchmaker, curate opportunities to bring them, introduce them to a client. So, there's share an article or ask them their opinion, or I like playing matchmaker. So if I come across somebody that I feel could benefit one of my referral partners, it's like, why wouldn't I make that introduction?
Yeah.
So and then there's other ways. I mean, we do some periodic gifting where 3-4 times a year we'll send out little gifts that are more of a appreciation for being part of my network and being referral partners. So I think things like that are kind of a unique and different way to stay top of mind and to add value and show gratitude versus, hey, Steve, you gave me a referral last quarter. Who else do you have for me? Now,
Yeah.
there is a more intentional way to do it. You're both wanting to grow your business, and you decide, hey, let's meet once a month and let's be real intentional about this, and let's shoot to make 5 or 10 introductions this month. So it's not really a referral per se. It's more of a proactive approach to make introductions that will likely be valuable and could turn into business. So, and there's different philosophies. Some people, they they don't like to ask for referrals, and I get it. You don't want to be that guy,
Yeah.
but it is much easier to ask for an introduction than a referral. If you can grow your business without asking, and referrals and new business just comes to you, that's amazing. Now, most of us, we we don't have that luxury, so we try to be a little bit more intentional about it, and identifying and prioritizing your referral partners is a good way to do that. And you may catalog or inventory them and say, well, I got 500 people, or well, how do we narrow that and make it a kind of like an inner circle, or an A, B, or a C, and that list changes all the time. You're always pruning, and priorities change, and maybe it's one-sided, and they send me referrals, but for whatever reason I don't reciprocate as often as I should. So I think just creating a system or a process around it and being intentional and consistent with it goes a long way. A lot of our clients, they really struggle with that. It's a little bit more random and haphazard, and so I'm a big believer in just having some sort of a system and a process to cultivate and nurture these referral partners. Makes all the difference.
So my takeaway from that is, like maybe once a quarter, I should send out like an 8x10 picture of myself and like a glamour shot kind of.
Yeah, glamour shot. Yeah,
just so I stay top of mind.
Yeah, make sure it's all about you, and so, but it could be something funny. One year we sent out ice cream, and all but 2 of them showed up frozen. So I don't know if we'll send out ice cream again. We did that one 4th of July, but just taking the time and making the effort, and there's something to that, given first and given often, and it's just it's fun for one, and it feels good to help people, and I guess it's a law of reciprocity, or just being top of mind. It just seems like those businesses that give often and give first, just for whatever reason, seem to get it back. So it's kind of like reaping what you sow. And so.
Yeah, I was on this national council of organizations like us, and there's like a 3-year term. And the first year, one of my peers sent me a bag of peanuts, like around Christmas. I was like, what the heck, a bag of peanuts? And so we're on the council for 3 years. So 3 years in a row, I get this bag of peanuts. And then year 4, we roll off the council and there's no bag of peanuts. So I remember thinking to myself, I need to email him to make sure I get my bag of peanuts. But you're right. Sometimes something unique like that can stand out.
Yeah, as long as they were regular peanuts and not the circus peanuts. We don't need any of those orange circus peanuts.
I remember those.
Yeah. So and again, none of this is a magic bullet. It's just all about standing out from the crowd and just staying top of mind. And, obviously your service has to be good. You got to be, do what you say you're going to, those are all basic foundational, but I'm amazed by the companies out there that, 89% of their business comes from referrals, which are amazing, but they're unpredictable and they're insufficient to reach your growth goals. And it's like, why don't we, figure out some way to increase and cultivate that in addition to doing cold outreach and new logos and things like that. But that LinkedIn is great as far as identifying and cultivating those relationships. Now, you can't do it on LinkedIn alone. You got to break bread. You got to take it offline. You got to, but LinkedIn, I found to be just very good at that referral partner networking.
Yeah, I can, definitely need the need to supplement, just normal referrals. Once an organization hits a certain size, some of their referrals don't fit anymore, or bad fits for that. And at a certain point, you can't just keep taking every client like you do when you're young and smaller. And I think that was a hard lesson for us to learn, that we can't be everything to everybody. And we set some limits on kind of the lower number of people we'll take, and some limits on the higher number of end users that we'll take. And just really staying in your own lane of what you're doing and who you're doing it for.
No doubt. And that targeting, I mean, it goes back to the targeting and the client selection, and not like you said, it took me about 8 years to figure out that we couldn't be everything to everyone. And sure, we have to walk away from clients or prospects. And it's, so I hear what you're saying. That's awesome. Good for you guys.
Well, we've talked about a lot today, but, from beginning to end, to the process, to metrics. But if there was one thing that you wanted guests to take away from this particular conversation, what would it be? What would be of the biggest value to them in their own LinkedIn or marketing efforts?
Two things. One is be consistent. And if your prospects are on LinkedIn, or your referral partners are on LinkedIn, carve out time every week to do it yourself. Get out there and engage and post and message, or delegate or outsource it, because the doing it haphazardly or every so often or once a quarter, it just won't produce the results that you want. So that's probably the biggest thing, is if you won't do it yourself, then delegate or outsource it.
Gotcha. Now, what about, since I'm doing the after visit summary, part of that is prescriptions. Are there other minor prescriptions or things that you recommend aside from the, having those outreach efforts?
Yeah. What not to do, don't pitch slap, don't connect and pitch, be consistent, stay top of mind. Those are really the big things. Focus, narrow in your niche, your target. It'll make a world of difference as coming up with content that resonates with a smaller group. It's much more efficient than trying to capture everyone and please everyone. So that's, that's kind of what I think about.
Any other funny terms besides pitch slap that are in your industry that I can adopt and embrace?
Wow. Put me on the spot. I don't think so. That's the best I got today.
All right. Well,
in an hour, I'll think of something, but that's probably the biggest thing.
I just always like insider terms, then it makes me feel like I'm an insider.
Yeah, I didn't make it up. Somebody said it to me. I said, connect and pitch. And I heard somebody else say pitch slap. I'm like, I like that. What not to do. Don't. And then the other thing is, and this is another one, which it's connect and forget. It's like, how often, it's like going to a networking event, saying, hey, Steve, hey, Mark, and then you just walk away. Yeah. That's it. It's the same thing. I'm amazed, and we all do it to a degree, but you connect with somebody, and then there's no follow-up, there's no engagement. It's like, so connect and pitch, connect and forget. They're both bad, but I think the connect and pitch or the pitch slap is probably the worst.
Yeah.
And we all know what it is because we all get them.
Right.
So,
I like the truthiness of those. All right. Well, how can people reach you if they want to learn more or talk to you about LinkedIn?
yeah, the best way is mark at revgrow.com, or our website is revgrow.com, or they can find time on my calendar, which is also on the website. And if you're interested in upping your game on LinkedIn or lead generation in general, I'd love to have a strategy call with you, and we can determine if we're a good fit for each other. And then, even if we're not, that's fine. I'll make sure to add value and make it worthwhile in that 30-minute strategy call.
Well, it sounds like either way, you'd also be a good referral partner too, even if it wasn't a fit at that particular moment.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
All right. And for myself, you can also reach me, the doctor, all spelled out, at fulcrumgroup.net. You can also find me on LinkedIn. Steve Meek, CISSP, is the last part of my public profile. And wow, that brings us to the end of another successful doctor's appointment. One more patient taken care of. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Sure thing. I appreciate you being here, Mark. Today's visit, I think, kind of talked to us about how if you're looking for growth, that doesn't come from random referrals. It kind of comes from, Mark's comments on things like positioning, targeting, having meaningful messaging, and just being very disciplined in your follow-up. So thanks for visiting with us today and being a part of this. If this episode resonates with you, don't forget to subscribe to Talk to the Doc. Make sure you never miss out on an insight that could drive your business. I'm your host, Steve the Dr. Meek, and the doctor is out. See you next time. Thanks so much.